Attention Austin guitar players and bass players. Are you in need of setup or repair on your axe? Well, I have the guy for you, gang. That's Jason Swedberg over at J. Scott Lutherie, and you can find him at J. Scott Lutherie on Instagram. Now, if you listen to the show, you know I've been talking about Jason for years. Why is that? Because I've been taking my guitars to Jason for over 20 years. Not only does he do the best job, but he has the best prices and the fastest service in town. Again, find him at J. Scott Lutherie on Instagram. Not only is he doing an amazing job repairing and setting up guitars, he is now building guitars. That's right. He built me an SG Junior, which I have, and it sounds amazing. It feels great. It's the very first SG Junior he ever built. I've got a J. Scott Lutherie SG Junior. You can go see him at J. Scott Lutherie on Instagram. Get a guitar built. Get your guitars fixed. Get them set up. It's time, man. They've been hanging on the wall all through COVID. Now it's time to get them out, get them fixed, and get out there and play. J. Scott Lutherie on Instagram. Let's get down. Hey gang, we all know Spotify has become the ultimate app destination for music lovers. I have an account and I love it. I find new music by following Tastemaker playlists, and I make my own playlist that I share featuring music from guests that has been on the show. But did you know that aside from millions of songs, Spotify now has all of your favorite podcasts, including How Did I Get Here? Yes, all of your podcasts are available on Spotify. Just go to Spotify.com or download the app from your app store, and don't forget to follow How Did I Get Here? That's Spotify. Millions of songs, thousands of podcasts. Let's get down.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
It's time for How Did I Get Here? And now here is your host,
All right. Hello, I'm Johnny. I'm your host. Welcome to the show. I hope you guys are all having a good week. Woo, it's Wednesday. I know, it's already Wednesday. I've been practicing for this show on Friday. I'm playing with my band for the first time since September 2019. This Friday, June 25th at 310 ACL Live with special guest, the Belle Sounds. Anyway, I've been practicing like standing up and playing because it's been so long since I've actually stood up and done a whole show as a frontman, as I said, since September. In fact, I went to go take my big amp that I use for shows when I took it to the rehearsal room today. I went to go get the plug out of the back, and there was all these cobwebs back there. So anyway, I'm getting the cobwebs out, and I'm getting ready for Friday's show, and I'm really excited about it. You can get tickets at 310austin.com. That's the number 3, the word 10, austin.com. I'll put a link to it in the text of this podcast. Otherwise, it's been a week of practicing with Skyrocket, practicing for another gig I have going on, just a lot of practicing. That's what's been going on. It feels good. My hands feel good, getting loosed up. As I said, getting the cobwebs out. I have a great show for you guys today. Drummer/musician and songwriter Math Judson is on the show. He's got a brand new record that dropped in May. It's called Demagogue's Delight. You can find him at mathjudson.com. He plays drums with like Renaissance Sound, The Pride. He's been playing with Broadway performers. He plays a lot around town. He played everything on his record, Math Judson. Yeah, I think he had a couple special guests. I don't know. But he's a great drummer. He's like a studied jazz drummer. He gives lessons, and he comes from this, like, his musical place comes from a place of intention and like a place of, there's like a philosophy to him playing music and how you play music and why you play music. Fantastic conversation. This record, Demagogue's Delight, is awesome. Like, it's a rockin' record. In fact, you can see Math Judson tonight at the Far Out Lounge. That's tonight, Wednesday, June 23rd. Get on out there and check out Math Judson. Go to mathjudson.com for all of your Math Judson needs. And without further ado, please enjoy me and Mr. Math Judson chatting it up right here on How Did I Get Here? Let's get down.
Lend me your ear, it was here, it was there, it was everywhere sound. It was in the sky, it was on the ground. Almost there, but insincere. Truth to dare when I moved here. Not that far, it was in my car beneath the parking lot.
The record is fucking great.
Thanks.
It really is,
Yeah.
man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. It's really, really good.
Thanks for listening
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, it's weird now. You just put it out on Friday? It's last Friday when we're doing it. Like, okay. So,
Yeah.
it feels weird, doesn't it? It's like it just evaporates into nowhere.
The music,
Yeah, like there's so much shit coming out all the time.
the stuff, the hype, and the everything.
Yeah, just kind of like once a thing comes out.
Yeah. It is. It's but I've been putting out stuff since like 2014, just
Really?
like Bandcamp and just trying to figure out, how to get it out the right way. And it's just, it's just whatever at this point.
But your main instrument is drums. Is that? Would you say that?
Mm-hmm.
But you play everything on the record.
Yeah.
You're fucking awesome.
Thanks. I've been, drums. I've been, I studied in school, in college, and
Where'd you go to
jazz.
college?
I ended up graduating from Northern Illinois University,
So you went all the way through. You got a degree in jazz
a
studies,
bachelor's degree. Yeah.
bachelor's degree in jazz studies.
And then, master's. I really wanted to do a master's, and just ended up not doing it. Hearing a lot about just student loans, and ended up doing other stuff. So there's your stuff isn't like punk rock, like Bonehead level. There's some musicality going on. There's some intricate drum stuff going on, but it's definitely not jazz. no, it's not jazz at all. It's a rock.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what it was, and I don't know. It's kind of art rock.
That's what I think. Yeah.
It's kind of it's inspired by a lot of different rock. Each track is, I kind of ended up pulling, maybe 2 or 3 different influences for each track.
Right.
From
there's
classic rock kind of era
Right.
and stuff.
What do you mean when you say classic rock kind of era? What do you
I guess probably like 60s, 70s, and 90s stuff. Maybe some 80s stuff in there too. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, you're from Chicago?
Well, I'm from DeKalb, which is where Northern Illinois University is. Well,
Okay.
I moved around to Illinois.
Okay.
I'd move like every 5 years or something.
What, growing up?
Growing up, yeah.
What did your dad do? What, parents or?
Yeah, he was, he was in basketball, so he ended up becoming a coach, an assistant coach, and was a head coach at Northern Illinois for a little while.
Wow.
And then he bounced around. So, but I ended up, going to high school in DeKalb. So
Okay.
I'd say that's where I kind of am from.
So, what did your mom do?
My mom is a professor, she's marketing, and so she decided to do marketing in the sports realm, sports marketing. Because
Oh,
my
wow.
dad's a sports
Yeah.
guy.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, are you having like a sports family and a jazz kid?
Yeah, I don't know. I came out of nowhere, I just, I loved basketball, and baseball was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Football was never my thing, but, yeah, when I was like 8 or 9, I saw the drums on MTV, and, I was just like, man, those look really cool.
Do you remember who it was that you saw behind the drums?
Yeah, it was a Hanson. And
Yeah.
I just remember seeing.
Oh yeah, and
his
you were a
kind
little
of like-
kid?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And then at that same time, I kind of heard about Rage Against the Machine and Blink-182, and I just thought the drums sounded super badass, but they did,
Yeah.
And so I built like a little Tupperware kit, and I had a little keyboard, a Casio, like one of those
Yeah.
sitting over there, and I didn't know what I was, I just hit the demo button, and I would just try to jam along to the demo all the time, and then eventually figured out that there was like different styles of demos, and that's what I would do, and then just jam out. Eventually they got me this little kit,
and try to like get bigger kits. And yeah.
So you started off in rock
Yeah.
and Hanson, whatever that would be called. One of those Hanson guys, the main Hanson, not little Hanson, not giant Hanson, but middle Hanson, singer Hanson, Taylor Hanson, Taylor Hanson.
Yeah.
I met him a few times. He was hanging out here for a while. Yeah, at the
In Austin?
Mohawk. Yeah, he even brought his baby to the Mohawk. It was weird.
Cool. Yeah, those guys. I mean, they're all brothers. That's kind of a really special thing they have, I guess.
It's pretty amazing, right?
Yeah.
You have brothers and sisters?
I have 2 sisters. I'm the middle child.
Okay. Was your older sister, did she turn you on to any music? Like, did you have a guide, or was it just MTV and what you figured out for yourself?
She had a great taste in music, but she didn't really influence me until like high school and stuff. And then she is kind of like, I really like the Dead Weather. They're super badass. And I was
Wow,
like,
that's pretty deep.
And I was like, yeah, like you're right. That's cool. But early on, it was like my dad had a few cassettes. He had Chicago 9 and some.
Is that the greatest hits
Beatles
one?
and Earth, Wind and Fire.
Yeah.
And
Does anybody really know what time it is and stuff like that?
Yeah.
That guy, Danny Seraphin, is that guy's name? He was good. Did you see that thing about them? And then he got bad. And they had to let him go. Get a different guy. 'Cause he couldn't play anymore.
I don't really know too much about the background of
It's weird.
of that band. I never really read too much into it, but yeah, I know. Well, they've been doing their thing for a long time, and
Yeah, since like
I'm sure there
1967
was
or something.
some obstacles to overcome there.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. And so then yes, and somehow I had the Hanson tape cassette, and I had the Mortal Kombat Annihilation soundtrack on tape cassette. And I would
What was
jam
on there?
those. There was a Rammstein track on
Oh,
there,
really?
and like
Oh, wow.
just some other was it like Chemical Brothers or something, or
Uh-huh.
like some some stuff like that or whatever, which I thought was funny. And then this girl, when I was like 3rd or 4th grade, she gave me a Enema of the State,
Right.
grade 2, and I wasn't sure if I was supposed to have it because her cleavage is like right there,
Right.
and my parents like never took it away, but they didn't let me play Mortal Kombat on the Game Boy, but they let me have Enema of the State and like listen to that. And then I got the Godzilla soundtrack, which had Rage Against the Machine on there, and Wallflowers and P. Diddy and stuff.
It's a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, it's super just random.
So when did you get an actual drum kit? When did you graduate from the Tupperware homemade?
Oh, I don't know. Probably for Christmas, I got like a little tiny
Right,
kit, with
right.
the two drums and the cymbal coming off the
Yeah.
top. And actually, that was really cool because it came with a video VHS cassette. Kind of like, what do they call those? Instructional video or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And I popped that in, and the first thing that shows up is this dude just shredding on this giant Noble and Cooley drum kit.
Wow.
And so that was kind of like interesting finding out about Noble and Cooley that young when I was 9. And then the guy on there taught you how to buzz roll, so I grabbed the sticks and kind of was doing the buzz roll on my mom's dresser. I was watching it on the TV on my mom's dresser, and just like learned how to do the buzz roll pretty quick because they taught how to do it. So, and then I just got super into it. It came with a little catalog where you could buy add-ons to the kit.
That's
And then
cool, man.
Probably in like middle school, I got like your standard size kit.
Did you have a band at any point?
Yeah, oh yeah. I had some friends starting in middle school, 7th. Actually, even younger than that, I had a friend who had some drumsticks, and I was like, oh, like real ProMark 5Bs and stuff. And I was like, dude, you got some real drumsticks. That's awesome. And but he wasn't like super into music. And then
I remember those days like this.
Yeah.
Like just those little things where you're like,
know.
you got a guitar pick? Fuck, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And it had like the sumo wrestler guy on the stick, and I was like, oh, these are awesome. Like, yeah.
So what were you guys playing like in your band, and where did you play? Did you have gigs?
No, one time I jammed with a couple buddies in their garage. I brought my kid over there, and we just didn't really do anything. And then, well, in middle school, when I started kind of jamming more, I had a neighbor across the street named Andrew, and we would play all types of stuff. And then I had another buddy come over who played guitar, and we'd play, stuff like Weezer and Boxcar Racer,
Right.
Blink, and Green Day or something. And another buddy who was connected to the Used somehow. His girlfriend was dating the singer or something.
His girlfriend was
his sister.
Okay.
Was the girlfriend of or something. So he turned me on to them and a lot of other music, and we would jam. My neighbor and I were in this other band with him and a kid from church, and we ended up going in the studio. That band was called 3 Weeks Before, and we made a CD, just like some random pop, punk, rock tracks.
Covers.
Floating around somewhere. I think there were some originals in there.
Oh, really?
There was like 4 of us, and there was this one kid who was or 2 of them were kind of songwriters, and I was just like on drums. And it was interesting. We went to some studio, and it was such a fun experience. I remember the bass player was having trouble with something, so I was like, "Yeah, just let me try." And I didn't know what I was doing, so I had the bass like set up on my lap, and I was fretting it with like my thumb because I play left-handed.
Okay.
And so that's another thing is like my buddies, I'd jam in my basement, which we don't have around here in Texas.
Right. It's a whole different scene.
So I had drums in my basement, and then my buddies would like leave their guitars there. And so I played left-handed, so I learned how to play upside down because.
You still play upside down?
Yeah, I still play like that. So that was really fun. Just trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
A lot of figuring out on my own. None of my family's musical. I didn't really get a mentor until, or like a drum teacher until high school, or I was in band, but.
You got a private teacher?
The private
and
teacher.
he made a difference?
Yeah. Like once I was in high school, I got a private teacher.
And was he a dude that like played and stuff?
Yeah,
he played nights and like.
Yeah, he was college.
Yeah.
He's still a cat up in the scene in Chicago.
That's cool, man.
And he taught me a lot of, really tricky stuff like some 5 patterns and stuff like that. So like in high school, I started, learning kind of about more complicated patterns and stuff.
And jazz and stuff. Like, did you go through a Zappa phase? Drummers go through a Zappa phase.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which was your favorite?
Favorite? Yeah.
He is?
One of my favorites, yeah.
It's funny. I was just talking to this dude the other day. We were talking about the... he's not one of my favorites. I mean, there's stuff I like, Yeah. Like Shake Your Booty and stuff like that. Like, it's a cool record. It has some funny shit on there. Broken Hearts Are for Assholes and stuff like that. But... Yeah. I always feel like he's just making very complicated music for complication's sake.
Right. The thing is that he did so much. He was so prolific, and he wrote a lot out in sheet music. And there's some stuff of his I like more than others. And it's so funny. I talk to people, and it's like if you hear one thing by Zappa and you don't like it, then you assume that's kind of what his whole world is like, and it's not at all. Right. And one of my favorite things I found in college was you can't do that on stage anymore. The live thing and the performance and the music is so out of this world. Right.
So did you go into other things like Captain Beefheart and King Crimson and shit like that?
Yeah, for sure. I never really got.
Were you in high school? You went
into Beefheart? Yeah.
And you went through the whole
King
Rush
Crimson
thing?
Rush, and actually in high school, this another kid that I was in a band with, he was really into Captain Beyond.
Who's that?
It's like some band from the 70s, and it's really cool, different prog rock, but it's like really powerful sounding. It's really interesting, and he just kind of like came out of nowhere, wasn't like really huge, but it's a really good record.
So was your palette always pretty wide, or like when you got into like complicated music, were you like fuck Blink 182? There was never a point where you got like that, like.
Well,
I mean, outside of once you realize their music isn't great.
Well, I've always just loved the drums and the guitar tones and Mark's voice, Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's great things about it, and that's how I try and look at music. I try and find things that I like about music, even if it might be, not my favorite music. It's like I can always find something to appreciate about it. But yeah, I definitely, grew up beyond the power chords kind of thing.
Right.
But I don't know, I was just trying to soak it all in. In high school, my band director is amazing. He turned us on to a lot of jazz and played us some, really fantastic stuff. And so I just tried to keep my mind open about it.
Right. That's pretty awesome that you never because I would go through phases of there's times I've gotten into jazz, but never like very well. I never really played it or anything. I can't. It always, to me, I imagine that when I listen to jazz, I imagine that's how somebody that doesn't play music, that listens to music is like, wow, it's magic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. With jazz, there's so much different things within the realm of jazz too. I feel like some of my favorite stuff is just the simpler, not so complex sounding stuff to listen to. Some people will listen to Ornette Coleman for the first time and be like, this is what jazz is. I hate it.
Right.
And some people will hear Kind of Blue and just be like, this is super boring, but it's such a wide.
It is. It really is. So the guy in high school, he got you into jazz, and that sent you on a, what makes you want to get a degree in jazz studies?
Because that's what you do when you're a drummer, when you're a musician,
Yeah, I guess so.
He was in that realm, and, luckily is this is what you do if you're going to pursue music.
Yeah.
You don't pursue rock drum set. You don't pursue pop.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I got a degree in drums, in rock drumming.
Yeah. Well, there's percussion. There's drum set. If you're going to do drum set, it has to be jazz, which, they do a good job of doing a wide variety of styles of music.
Right, because there's symphonic percussion and
rock in there. Yeah, and then percussion, classical, and NIU is great because they have such a well-rounded program. World music, even professors that are into rock and computer music, experimental music,
electronic music. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, James Phelps is kind of the professor of that there. So it was really nice.
Were you also playing in bands and stuff?
Yeah, for sure.
What kind of bands? Like cover bands, or what were you doing?
No. Going from high school to college, I was in a band. The guy who turned me on to Captain Beyond, his band was inspired by Mars Volta, and we did a lot of stuff in 7 because Captain Beyond had a lot of 7 rhythmic patterns, and so he was actually a very talented guy. He played guitar. He sounded like Jimi Hendrix on the Strat, and he is also a drummer and a singer. And so it was me and this other guy who kind of played drums for his group. And so we were playing some crazy freak out post-punk stuff. Mars Volta,
outside the lines.
Yes, very outside the lines. And so that was kind of crazy for me in high school. That was really pushing me mentally, I would say, being in that group, because it was just crazy music, Yeah. It was heady. It wasn't really dance music, but it was rock, and there was some very just complex things going on.
Yeah.
And my parents hated it, and I was like, this is crazy. I love playing this music. It's so fun to play.
Right.
But it's hard to listen to sometimes. But there were some really good gems in there, though, which really inspired me. And, And so...
Well, it's interesting because your record now is making a lot of sense to me. I'm like, okay, because but you still know how to make a pop song.
Yeah, that's kind of what I like, I mean, I like it all, but you know, making a pop song is hard, like a good one, I feel like. And I don't know, I like listening to I like listening to some like pop and hip hop stuff now. You know, there's certain tracks that I think are really good.
What do you listen to now?
Like,
what have you been listening to lately that you've gotten into? That's a huge question. I just
yeah. So, I don't know, like the new J. Cole record and like some hip hop. There's I've been adding, you know, certain tracks by hip hop artists and pop artists I think are really good. There's some stuff by this guy Mustard, who just makes really cool arrangements for, you know, he has like Roddy Ricch will rap over his stuff, and it's kind of like auto-tune, you know, kind of stuff, but I think some of it's just super good, and like some maybe Drake and
yeah. I mean, a good song's a good song, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like that's an interesting thing that happened, like when there was a disco explosion, the initial sort of like 70s disco explosion. There was a lot of really fucking good songs. And there was a lot of songs that were real crappy, but there's, I mean, you know, Night Fever and Staying Alive, I think are fucking killer songs.
Some timeless stuff for sure.
Yeah, but it's funny that when this last electronic dance music resurgence came up in the early 2010s,
yeah,
with the doom 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 doom, those kind of songs, it seemed like there was just like not a lot of songs, and the dance music at that point, a lot of what those guys were doing was like this weird kind of like shit to freak you out when you're on drugs sounds,
right?
You know. So
yeah, the dance music, because a lot of, you know, cool songs just have a simple kind of disco beat to it, you know?
Yeah.
Tame Impala stuff will be like a really simple beat. And,
yeah.
And some of those songs are really good.
Really good. Okay, so let's go back. So you're in college, you're playing these shows. Did you get hired? Like, were you a drummer for hire at that point? Like, did you go play like a country gig one night? And
maybe rarely, yeah.
Yeah.
But I was mostly just screwing around with my buddies. And we were just like experimenting and recording in a studio they had, and I was in this one group called Renaissance Sound, which is really probably one of my favorite bands I've ever been in. It was me on like a small drum set, electric bass who kind of did tapping, and then a fiddle player and a vibraphone player.
Wow.
And the vibraphonist was a drum percussion major with me at school, and so he wrote a lot of stuff on the guitar and then would translate it on the vibes, and it was instrumental stuff, and it was it's post rock. It's like soft.
That's what I saw in the name of it.
Post rock.
Yeah, okay.
And it's really, really fun to be in that band where we were all equally having our input.
Yeah.
And it got really good response on the internet, you know. And we were only around for like a year and a half.
Oh, that's it?
And then we graduated, and then I got hired by Celebrity Cruises. I went on a cruise ship gig, which was wild.
Let's talk about that.
They recruited at the college.
At this college.
And then I sent in an audition and got accepted.
Were you like, oh yeah, I'm going to go on be in a cruise band?
I wasn't sure what
were
to
you
expect.
stoked about it?
I wasn't sure what to expect. I knew it was going to be crazy, and it was.
But you knew you were going to be doing I'm going as a professional drummer.
Yeah.
On this thing. This is step one.
I was pretty excited. I was freaking out. Yeah.
Okay. Because that's what I was. Okay, so then the reality of getting to the cruise. How was that?
It was crazy.
Is that where you were backing up the Broadway singers?
Yeah. Yeah. So.
What were you playing? Name some hits.
I remember one of my favorite, one of the shows that stands out the most to me during that time was the show with Shoshana Bean, who's she was Alphaba, I think, in one of the Wicked productions, and she also sang for Aretha Franklin. I can't remember the song title right now. It's that slow 3 song. Anyways, I did that one with her, and that was really, you know, great to be able to play with such an amazing singer.
Yeah.
And at the end of one of those shows, my monitor or the curtain went up behind me. We were pretty close to the curtain, and the curtain picked the monitor up by like the XLR cable, and it carried this monitor like a heavy. It was on a stand, and it picked it up into the air like 20 something feet, and then it just like got loose and came crashing down next to me during the end of the show. And it was like, we got it all on camera. I got the video footage of it. It was crazy. And like, we just I like had to like be like, whoa, I noticed it. Luckily came crashing down right next to me, and we just kept playing kind of through it, even though the cables got thrown up on the cymbal, got knocked over, and it was pretty wild.
But were you like, what was your social life on that cruise?
Oh man.
Life.
It was probably the most social I've ever been.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it like carnies, like a bunch of just crazy fucking wild people that worked on the ship?
Well, Celebrity Cruises is a part of Royal Caribbean, so it's not Carnival Cruises. You know, the brands are all kind of different.
Okay.
Carnival is kind of like a carnival on there. And Celebrity, I guess their demographic was kind of older folks at the time, and they were transitioning to try and, you know, market towards younger people more. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it was mostly, it's pretty calm. It's pretty chill, you know? And the crew members, these, you know, amazing people from all around the world. You know, some great friends that I made. I'm still friends with to this day. And,
that's awesome. How long did you do that for?
6 months.
Okay. That's a pretty long time.
And I did another contract in 2017. So I've done 2, and that one's crazy. That one was insane. Like getting there, I had a crazy time getting on the ship. I had to fly to England, and this one was in Europe. So I had a crazy time getting there, super late, like got like 2 hours sleep in the hotel, and like had to catch the bus to get there. And then had to do a couple things during the day. And, you know, they make the musicians, you know, do security and they call it muster stations. You have to kind of escort or guide the guests into the theater and do that whole kind of thing before you set sail. And so it's a whole thing. And then had to play a show that night. Opened with a drum solo, so I was kind of like really really put on the pressure for that. What was the music on that one? Was it Broadway stuff again? We had some production shows, and there was some guest entertainers from The Voice and some comedians, and it was ranging all different kinds of stuff. Is there a guy named Matt Sadler on there? Sorry, just asking. He's a guy from here, a friend of mine that does those. I feel like that name might be familiar. I didn't play with him, I don't think. Yeah. But yeah, really good experience. I always recommend it to musicians or even photographers. You know, there's so many jobs on there. You know, I say if you like to travel and you like experiences, like do it once. Yeah, yeah. Because it's crazy and you might not like it. And after 6 months, I was like, get me out of here. This is crazy. But it is such a great experience. Yeah. So, all right. So, were you ever part of like the Chicago music scene? Like the scene? Kind of somewhat briefly, I would say, because the school I went to, you know, kind of nourished a lot of the Chicago jazz musicians. So through that, I was kind of connected, you know, but I really only lived in Chicago for a few months, and I was kind of like born there, but I never really lived there. I made it there, and I mean, I still am. I have a lot of friends, you know. One of my buddies from a band, Renaissance Sound, he mastered my latest album, and he has also worked with a lot of great people. He's in a band there, and you know, one of my drum set mentors is the professor at UIC, and you know, so yeah, feel pretty well connected there still. Yeah. So what brought you to Austin, and when did you move here? Yeah, how did I get here? Right. How did you get here? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I got back from the cruise ship the first time, and then my bandmates were living in Chicago at the time, and so I was like, okay, cool. You know, we'll I'll go out there and see what's up, and one of them was living at a hostel, like an Airbnb type thing, like a musicians co-op. And they decided to start one in Austin. So the hostel was kind of run by these two girls. And then my buddy kind of joined forces with them. And we, took the van and we did a little tour with the group we had at the time down, Bloomington, Indiana, Nashville, hit a couple spots, New Orleans, and then finally made it here and just found our way into a property up on the north side, like North Loop.
Yeah.
Kind of area. And then we, started a new division of the musicians co-op down here.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then, that met a lot of people through that.
So a lot of people live here or live there?
Yeah. So it's kind of like an Airbnb, there's, some people might, you need to, park their van and crash there, and there's a little trailer there, and there's some space for people to crash. So we'd have some shows, and we'd have the bands kind of crash there.
That's awesome, man.
It was really cool. Yeah.
So when was that you landed here?
24, the end of 2013.
Okay, so you've been here for a while.
2014, yeah. Mm-hmm. Playing in different bands and meeting lots of people.
Yeah, what bands did you play in here?
The band that we had eventually turned into The Pride, just like an indie band. And I was in this band Soul Exchange, who I'm still playing with, but we don't go by Soul Exchange anymore. And Digital Wild, I played with. Played South by.
Chantal was there?
Yeah, Chantal.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that was really cool. And then just various gigs, someone needs a drummer. I did session stuff and just,
was Alex Chod awesome, playing with you on something?
Alex.
Yeah.
I played on some of his new tunes.
Okay.
And he's come down to the studio and, he directed, I met him randomly when I was, playing with a buddy's band, and he said he did film stuff, and he went to Indiana University, and I actually went to Indiana University for a year, and so we connected on that, and I was like, oh, you do film stuff, like we should do something. So I ended up hiring him.
Which video do you make?
Video for Magic.
Okay. Yeah, that one's cool.
Like my latest one, like the good one.
Yeah.
And
I like the skating one, man.
Yeah, and the skating one's super cool too.
Yeah.
I like that one. That's a guy I met through the hostel as well, who did all the filming of the skate clips. And he now lives in LA.
Oh yeah.
And he's really cool, Raphael. And so, Alex is like, okay, cool. I'm going to hit up my buddy who has the camera and all that stuff. And, ended up being Jacob Weber, who took some photographs for me while I was playing with the Digital Wild. So I knew him already. And, so it's really cool to, be all kind of connected, like that. I was already friends with him, and then it just ended up turning out incredible. I kind of had ideas for the shots around the studio where I'm at, and then
so that's your studio.
It's not mine.
Okay,
it's my buddy Blake's,
and it's 1619 or something.
1916.
1916.
Yeah. That's when the house was built.
Oh no shit!
And it's this old farmhouse out there, and that is a very serendipitous and unique way that I made my way out there. I met Blake at a pawn shop randomly, the one on South Lamar. That's closed down.
Yeah.
The music one, it had like all the guitars and all the gear.
Yeah.
And that's where I got like most of my favorite gear.
Yeah.
It ended up closing down. But luckily before that I met Blake. I heard him play a couple notes on the guitar, and it was just one of those days, and I just went up to him. I was like, man, you sound really good. I was buying my first guitar that day, but I was like, I'm actually a drummer. And he's like, cool, you should come to the studio, and I got some tracks, play some drums. I was like, cool. So it was like another session thing, and and that was a few years back, and I'd go out there every once in a while and do some stuff, and it was great learning because like I hadn't recorded to a tape machine yet, but they had a tape machine out there.
It's so
and so
cool.
I was like super excited. I was like, this is incredible. And then I was just kind of doing my thing, went on the other cruise ship gig, came back, trying to figure out what I was going to do musically next. I was releasing my own stuff, but I was also joining other bands. And then like a spot became open there. I was talking to him and I was just like, I'll totally move out there if you need, someone to look after it. And he's like, yeah, cool. So I kind of looked at it as a artist residency.
Yeah.
I was like, it's outside of Austin, but I can make it work.
Yeah. So did you write and record these songs simultaneously, or would you write the song and then go and record it?
I would write it and then go and record it probably. Yeah.
Talk me through just like, you started off with like maybe a click track and you playing guitar and singing.
Yes.
Right. And then you started
a click track. Well, sometimes I'd start with the drum track. That's usually what I, get a good drum track first.
And you can hear the whole song while it's going and you can.
Yeah, sometimes. Okay. And sometimes I did have a click track, but sometimes it turns out better without it, depending on how well I know the song. And yeah, some songs I would have to go back and re-record.
Right,
it didn't turn out how I wanted it.
Yeah.
And it's
not an easy thing to do, I don't think people and did you do it on tape?
No, I ended up sending some of the stuff to tape.
Okay.
But no, I would actually just in a lot of for this album, like I remember on Gunfire, I was just recording it on Pro Tools, and I would run back and forth and check the drums, and then I think I laid a scratch guitar track down, and then I would play along to that.
Right.
And play till I finally get a good take. And this was super late in the morning, and I was it was so strange. I felt like I had to get it out of me. I was about to drive back to Illinois to visit family the next morning, but I was like, I have to record this right now. Like it's in me right now, and I'm hearing it. I got the drums all set up, and so yeah, maybe like a scratch guitar, and then I would get the drums until where I like it, and then just go from there and add stuff and mix as I go, and then eventually get the words figured out. The words would take a while, so a lot of times I'd have the music figured out before the words.
Right.
And then I knew the words, I left space I knew where the words were going to go.
Right.
And I just figure melodies and writing it. I guess sometimes I would write it on the guitar, and just playing electric guitar through an amp and with a vocal mic, a PA system set up, and just kind of like seeing what works.
Right. Yeah, that's good.
Because I wanted it to be performable live.
Yeah.
How would I do this live?
Yeah.
I can't play the drums and the guitar at the same time, but
right.
I'll do the guitar. I'll find a drummer. And
so did you find guys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's really cool how this worked out too. These two brothers hit me up. They moved to Austin a few years back, and they were like, "Yo, like we want you to play drums in our group, Soul Exchange." And so we did some gigs and a little tour and stuff, and it was really fun. It was like progressive neo soul,
cool,
fusion kind of stuff.
Very cool.
And I was like, this is me and the bass player Evan locked up right away. Like,
yeah, I
was playing drums, and then I come to realize that Neil, the guitarist and singer, also plays drums. He's a session drummer, and I was going, I would go to the jazz jams at Stay Gold, and I would meet a ton of jazz players, and I
didn't even realize there was one at Stay Gold.
Yeah, now it's the Long Play East, but
they still have the
there.
jam.
It's back now.
Yeah,
and it's one of my favorite things.
What night is it?
Tuesdays.
Okay.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Hey, we'll do that tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's tomorrow. Yeah,
Jazz
I usually go
shit
every other week or whenever it works out. And yeah, tomorrow I should be able to go. And so I convinced, a really good guitar player to play bass for my group. I was like, I have this one show, I get it if you don't like want to do it all the time because
Yeah.
you're a really good guitar player. But he was cool enough to play bass.
Yeah.
And some of the drummers, you know, and so I kind of would I rotated drummers, and I kind of had like a different morphing group for a while, and then kind of put it together like, oh, why don't I ask Neil if he wants to play? And he ended up being really into it. So now those two brothers, you know, back up my band, and then we switch, and I also like play in his band.
That's awesome.
It's
So,
really fun.
is it called Math Judson?
Yeah, it's just
That's
because
the- That's just you.
it's just my
So it's
solo
a trio.
project, yeah. And actually, no. So Blake, who owns the studio, is going to be playing guitar with us.
All right.
And then also, I wanted to get a synth player on there, and I don't think I ever actually have had a synth player. But then my buddy Shredword is going to play some synth and maybe tambourine, because a lot of the songs actually have tambourine
Yeah.
in it. You know, I like the tambourine, kind of like the trio is fun, but it doesn't need to be filled out. You
Yeah.
know, kind of like a psych wall of sound
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
kind of vibe, because I really like a lot of the psych stuff.
Do you have
that's
any
around
gigs
here.
booked or anything?
Yeah, for sure. Far Out Lounge on June 23rd. And
I love that place, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm really stoked to be playing there. And it's
Any other?
the first show with this roster, which
Okay.
is pretty solid.
Awesome. Any other shows?
Not yet, but
Okay.
potentially
But
maybe a
people
house
can find
party
him
or
at,
something.
at mathjudson.com.
Yeah, I need to put the because 2020 I haven't had any, you know, my tour dates up on my website or anything, but I need to put it up now.
Yeah. Starting to get out and play again.
Yeah.
I did. You know Brandon Temple
Yes, I know of him. I've seen him a few times.
from the jazz places? Mm-hmm. I opened for him in Houston the other night.
Awesome.
His Temple Underground band. So fucking awesome.
Oh,
man.
wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great time.
Yeah. It was a great time.
Yeah. Then what did you do? Like what? Your group?
No, it was just me solo acoustic on guitar.
Oh, okay. That's
He-
cool.
Yeah, yeah. He and I are good friends, and he was like, "Do you want to do this show?" So I go see him play a lot. I mean, he's fucking unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, like a god of. He's like the most lyrical drummer I've ever heard.
Yeah.
You know.
For sure. He's played with a lot of great acts, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's,
So are you playing with any other people like outside of
For sure.
Soul Explosion?
yeah. Well, we have a new band. We just don't have a name yet.
Okay.
And
okay.
so we did a Monk's Jazz live stream as just my name, Quartet. 'cause we
Cool.
don't have a name yet. And we came up with some jazzy stuff. We actually have some rock tunes that we've been recording. And we are playing at the East Austin Piano Shop, or the Pedernales Station, whatever they call it now. We're playing there on the 26th of June.
Okay.
And we need a band name for that pretty bad. And then I'm also playing in Blake Atwell's group, and we have another funk project called Tummy, which is like
Cool.
a instrumental funk record, you know, kind of Krungbin vintage funk inspired
Oh yeah.
blues.
I have this. I follow this instrumental funk podcast, not podcast, playlist on Spotify.
Yeah.
I put it on every once in a while.
Nice.
Gets me going.
Yeah. I'll give you one of the Tummy records when they come out.
Cool,
The
yeah.
album cover's super dope. And
So is Demagogue's Delight coming out on vinyl? No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, for
When? I know there's a backlog.
yeah, there is. It should be later this summer, I think in a couple months. I have to finish up the design and then just put in the order. And yeah, a lot of places are saying like 4 to 5 months for vinyl.
Yeah.
When I did my last one, it was only a couple, and they said depending on the state, it might be quicker than that. So
Right.
I imagine a few months.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to get that all together.
It's a great album, man.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took 2 years to make, and all while working on a lot of different stuff at the time.
Yeah.
But this is, being in lots of different bands. I wanted to do something that I really, that I knew, was really true to my heart, and that I really, I wanted to make a rock record that I was inspired by,
Yeah.
Growing up, because I just want to share that with other people. Like if
Yeah.
I can get another, 9-year-old, 10-year-old kid to listen to it and like be as inspired as I was.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was aiming for. And, I think it all came together, the way I wanted it to,
Yeah, man, you're an immense talent, man. The other thing too about the record is that it not only it doesn't sound the same by any means, but it has focus sonically and musically and all the sounds you use. It matches. It's not like a hodgepodge of some
Right.
dude that decided to make a rock record. You know what I mean? There's not like a samba song on there or anything like that. It's like a
Right.
fucking, there's a focus to it.
Yeah.
It is like a rock record.
There are some tunes that I had on there that I ended up taking out, and I wanted it to be really cohesive. I didn't record, all the drum sounds in one session,
And that's a tough thing to do because that's the base of everything.
And so there is my little discrepancies between the tracks, which I can get nitpicky and be like, well, this isn't as good as this or whatever. But, I used the same kind of gear, at different times. And then when I, mixed it, obviously I knew how I wanted it to sound. And then with the mixes I sent through the tape machine and through a 2-bus compressor, so I could actually control. It was really cool to experiment with that, controlling kind of how the snare and the guitars kind of interacted.
Yeah.
So I was able, with the parameters on the compressor, I was able to kind of control how much the snare and the guitars kind of spoke together, so I could make the tracks more cohesive in that kind of like pre-mastering stage, which I was really nerding out about that. I was like, man, you can dial in the mix,
shit.
even just on stereo 2-bus.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, before we go, let me throw, this is going to be dorky. I've never done this before, but I want to do this with you.
All right.
As far as Zappa goes, Vinnie Colaiuta or Terry Bozzio?
Oh, man. It sticks out for me is Terry Bozzio because...
Bozzio, sorry.
Even though I think that Vinny gets higher regard globally, I think that for Zappa, like for that group he had, Bozzio was better for the group because he sang, and his energy, the videos, his energy was just like through the roof.
Yeah.
And Vinny is an incredible drummer. I'm not sure if Vinny ever sang.
No.
But, I know he sight read the black page or whatever.
Right. And ate a piece of sushi while he was doing it or something.
Yeah. Yeah. But man, I just love seeing those clips of Bozzio, and his vocals are awesome. And, so I appreciated that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard though. It's really hard.
Jeff Porcaro or Steve Gadd?
Ooh, Steve Gadd probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I just like his style,
Okay. What about Dave Weckl? You ever get into the Weckl world,
Yeah,
the GRP
for sure.
and stuff?
Yeah, for sure. I love Dave Weckl.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went to didn't he go to Denton? He studied at
I don't know.
North Texas.
I do. Wasn't he the inventor of the 2 hi-hats? Or he was the guy that brought it to the
Probably.
double hi-hat?
I've been doing
jam?
a lot of that.
Have you?
Triple hi-hats sometimes.
Really?
It's fun. Yeah, just throw up whatever kind of kit.
Did you ever hear this band Jellyfish?
Doesn't ring a bell.
Oh.
I feel like someone maybe mentioned it to me.
Someone might have. Singing drummer guy. They were former jazzers that did like this 70s kind of
That's
pop
cool.
band.
I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah, you should check it out. And watch the videos too because he plays standing up. But he uses 2 hi-hats because he's got to stand up and play. So
That's cool.
yeah.
That's cool. I'm going to pull that up on YouTube right now
Yeah, do it. It's going to blow your mind.
for later.
Man, I want to go see this show on the 23rd at the Far Out. That sounds good, man. That's a Wednesday. Huh?
Awesome.
Yeah. Who else are you, you know who else is on the bill?
Yeah. We got my friends Psychic Shark.
That sounds cool.
They are amazing. Anna leads the band. which is, my buddy Blake's friend, Anna, or he's friends with Troy, and I think they are definitely a unit. Troy and Anna are.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I knew them, because they came and recorded at the studio. And Anna's an amazing singer. She'll, Blake will always hit her up for studio singing and whistling whenever, he needs it.
Good whistler.
And so they have this really good, it's just like psychedelic, it's like folky, psychedelic songs that are really sweet and groovy at the beginning, and then they build into like just this epic guitar solo. And,
Awesome.
And it's really powerful stuff, and so I'm really excited that they joined the roster. And then the other group is Zachman. This guy Zachman's group, who he's having some guys play for him that I'm buddies with, that I've played with throughout Austin. And so Lawrence, I think, from Far Out, hooked us up with that.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited.
Well, good, man. And people could take lessons from you. Like, they go to your website. You have lessons?
Yeah, drum, percussion, and music.
It seems like you
lessons.
also come from a very philosophical place with the drums, right?
Definitely.
It's a spiritual, and there's a philosophy behind what you do. You're not just beating on things.
Definitely and
You're not Tommy Lee.
right. Definitely not. More like Billy Cobham or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is in studying classical percussion, a lot of the classical snare drum, orchestral snare drum, a lot of technique, and my professor in school really did a great job of, really just being cerebral with it, and really just conscious of energy and controlling your body, and intention. And I also studied like tabla and Indian classical music, which is very spiritual.
Those tabla guys, man, they're like not allowed to play unless they've been playing for 30 years. Then they can. You know what I mean? Like, there's
you have to speak. You have to speak the syllables.
It's fucking insane.
I think it's 3 years before you can actually play on a set of tabla.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
really
the whole wax on, wax off thing before you start doing karate.
Right.
Yeah. That's,
Yeah. And that's kind of where the percussive approach comes from. That's like my curriculum that I've kind of been working on. It's just, a lot of, philosophies, and I played for dance programs too at UT and in Northern Illinois, for the modern dance. So I learned a lot about, just dance and the body, and,
well, also if you study all the world music and stuff, like
music.
there really is a different feel.
Yeah.
As you go around the world, there's a different feel to the music.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing, man.
It is. Yeah. World music is one of my favorite thing. And even some people don't like that term, world music. Some professors I've studied with, it's like, no, this is Afro-Cuban music.
Right,
this is
right.
Indian music.
Yeah.
This is
it's Western African funk, 70s funk, which, by the way, is one of my favorite.
Yeah, for sure. I'm all about a lot of bands coming out of that region, like Mali and over there. Yeah, like or Madhu Mokhtar and Songhoi Blues and Amadou and Miriam.
I got super
incredible.
into Amadou and Miriam.
Yeah,
like super into that. And they had like a little thing, like they were even on like a late show when they did that pop record that like the dude from Blur produced. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some great stuff. And I guess it is kind of wrong to call it world music, because it's kind of...
Yeah. I mean,
Kyoto music is completely different than what you hear from Amadou and Miriam.
Right, yeah. And I don't know, I never really was, when you're just trying to talk to people, I don't look, I'm not like snooty about the term or whatever, but it's just funny that some guys in academia are, especially when it comes to like Afro-Cuban music and, yeah.
Who are you? Do you have some drummers, guys that you like here that you like to go see?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
definitely. Daniel Dufour, he does the jazz jams.
Okay.
He's an incredible jazz drummer. And I try and be friends with, I try and meet everyone in the scene. I think, we're just all a big drum fam, and you know, that's just how we are as drummers. We're a community. We're not, out against each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, Daniel Dufour and Brannon.
Yeah.
And there's some that are escaping my mind right now for sure.
Some of the older guys, did you ever get to see Frosty play? Did you ever know him?
I don't think so, no.
He passed away a few years ago, but he was pretty amazing. He played with Sly and the Family Stone and stuff, but he lived here and was playing at the Gallery.
Yeah. And I mean,
there's a guy that just passed away that used to play with Elias Hasslinger.
Okay.
You know who I'm talking about?
I don't think so.
I'm drawing a blank on his name. I never really knew him, but anyway.
Yeah, Austin does have a rich history like that too.
Yeah. But jazz is kind of isn't really a focal thing here.
Right. I'm excited to see the jazz realm here kind of like grow.
Yeah. I didn't even know that thing was happening at Long Play. That's cool.
Yeah, but even a little more broadly, like Texas music in general, I feel like I'm still learning about a lot of things Texas wise, of moving here 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And just how much and who is from here that I didn't realize, or, Texas in general, not just Austin. But yeah, Austin is a very interesting scene to see so many people move here so fast, and it's been kind of wild.
Yeah. Well, man, it's been great meeting you. Demagogue's Delight is a fucking great record. Find him at mathjudson.com. You can find the record wherever you stream and download jams. Check out his lessons too. I think that's really cool that you come at it in sort of this Jedi, approach.
Yeah, I've always loved teaching, and I've always thought that it was part of the pie. If you're going to survive being a musician, you should, make a living teaching, and academia can be a great thing. Yeah, and you get to pass on to younger people and connect with other drummers and learn and teach. I'm still learning and teach, and yeah.
Man, it's been great meeting you.
You too.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, John.
That's Math Judson. Check out his record, Demagogue's Delight, available now. Go to mathjudson.com for all of your Math Judson needs. And if you live in Austin, see him tonight, Wednesday, June 23rd at Far Out Lounge. Going to be a great show. Go to mathjudson.com for all of your Math Judson needs. Want to thank Math for coming by and doing the show. It was great talking to him. Fascinating dude, super cool dude. I love his philosophy and intentions behind what he does playing music. I do. I'm not joking. Hey, gang, when you're out there checking out mathjudson.com, don't forget that you can subscribe to this podcast wherever it is that you find podcasts. Be it Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Overcast, wherever you find your podcast, you get new shows. Right now, we're dropping 3 shows a week. All right? We'll be dropping 3 shows a week next week because next week starts in June. See what I'm saying? All right. Let's hear some more music from Math Judson. Let's get down.
Let's be real, shake on a deal. I'll volunteer with the magic here. I don't tell you what I'm talking about. I don't care what they're talking about. You went here, I went there, changing gear. I miss the year.